Hello and welcome to this episode of Beyond the 3D. My name is Michael J. Russ. I appreciate your listenership and want to thank specifically my listeners in Zurich, Switzerland, Ireland, Mexico, and the U.S., including Hawaii, and my latest SoundCloud subscriber, listener, Julie. Thank you so much. Welcome aboard, Julie. It's been a really fun time creating these podcasts. I know I don't do them very frequently, and it's because I care. It's because I care. I care about you as individuals, as listeners. I treasure you. I treasure your listenership. I'm so grateful for it. Grateful that you'll take the time, you would even take the time to listen to what I have to share. That's a gift, not one I take lightly or for granted. So this isn't about producing a show every week. This is about producing a show that I believe will impact your life in a positive way. Producing a show that will provide some small thing that might be insignificant at first that could shift your life in a whole new direction. Some little thing. Because quite frankly, when I listen to podcasts and when I listen to and read books and things of that nature, I'm not really looking to, take on a whole new track in life. I'm looking for little tidbits, little things, little bits of treasure I can use to enrich my life. That's what I'm looking for. Something I can weave into my current lifestyle that will elevate it to a whole new level. And that is the way I encourage you to listen to these podcasts. And you may want to go back and listen to previous podcasts because at any given moment, you may need something in your life. You will need something in your life at any given moment. And you might have been guided to listen to one of my podcasts, and it might have been exactly what you needed at that moment in time. Now that time has passed. Now you're in a new time, and perhaps going back and listening to a couple of podcasts, if you get stuck, if you get in a situation where you feel like you're giving away your power, like you are being taken advantage of, that you're not owning your sovereignty. You're just knee deep in a circumstance or situation. For some of you, maybe a loss of a relationship, maybe a divorce, and maybe that you lost your girlfriend or boyfriend or significant other. Either they walked away or you walked away from them. They passed away. Anything could happen. And you're in a spot in life where you could use a way out. You could use a rope. You could use a rope that you can grab onto to pull yourself out and take yourself to a whole new level in life. A way to perhaps see it in a different way. Some information that can help you reassess your situation, change your perception of something that's occurred. We're in an environment right now where everybody's dealing with something. The only certainty we have in this day and age is that we are going to see something like this again at some point in the future. We live in a different world than I know when I grew up. And we're going to be more susceptible to having these kinds of circumstances, viruses and things of that nature that impact our bodies in ways that we have yet to understand. So this whole situation, which may again, raise its ugly head in a few months when winter comes around again, because we can't be naive in thinking that we've seen the last of it or the worst of whatever this is that's occurring. This virus, it's not the worst. It's also not the last, as I said, we're going to see forever. The one thing that you can do, the only thing you can do is, as I've said in many podcasts, and what I stress in this podcast more than anything else, is you have to take care of you. You have to manage your thoughts, your words, your feelings, and your actions. You have to be your sovereign. You have to be the sovereign. Claim it. Claim control over your mind, body, and spirit. And that means that you have to make sure you know what's going into your head, that it's supporting you. You got to make sure that what's going into your body is supporting you. And you got to make sure that your spirit is supported as well. You have the ability to control everything about yourself. And if you don't believe that, then go back and listen to a few more episodes of this podcast, because you are a sovereign, and this is time for you to claim your sovereignty. Opportunities like this come along several times in your life where your life is so disrupted. It is the opportunity for you, the evolutionary catalyst moment, the major one. You have a bunch of little ones throughout many days of your life. As I've said, you have to see all the circumstances, events that you face in your life, scenarios as evolutionary catalysts. However, this is a big one. This is a big one that's impacted not only your life, but probably the life of those around you, those living underneath your roof, your friends, your family, everyone. This is the opportunity to make sure you are being a sovereign, to assess what's going into your head and what's going into your body, because this particular virus impacts people with chronic illnesses worse than anybody else. There are many people in this country, millions, walking around with high blood pressure, that are on the verge of type 2 diabetes, that are hypoglycemic and otherwise, that don't really know that this is the state that they're in. And this COVID virus is basically got you targeted. You got a target on your back for this thing. So what can you do? You can be a sovereign. You can make sure, again, what's going into your head. You can determine what's going into your body. Reassess all of this. This is your evolutionary catalyst moment to do just that. To make sure that you're as strong as you can be. Reach out for new modalities that can help you be healthy, stay healthy, get healthy. Because this is not going to be the only one of these that we're going to see. This is not going to be the only one. Now, something I want to pass on, something I want to share with you. I'm going to shift gears here just a second, because tomorrow is my 62nd birthday. I'll be 6 decades and 2 days old, going into my amazing time. I look upon every birthday with gratitude. It's something that for me, I attempt to live every day with gratitude, to experience a moment of gratitude every day, and not necessarily when I wake up or sometime in the middle of the day. It can be any time, or before I go to bed. It's sometime during the day. I like to do it during my walk. Spend a few moments during my walk expressing how grateful I am, and just reflecting upon what I have in my life, where I am, my health, my family, the loving friends and relationships that I have created, that I have nurtured. And that is what I'm grateful for. I am grateful for my creativity, my inspiration, my intuition. I'm grateful for how I've worked on my spiritual self, and how I'm reaping the rewards of that right now. I'm grateful for my mother and father having really directed the first 15 years of my life so brilliantly, because I spent the first 7 years of my life outside the country, living in 3 different countries. And we moved every 2 years because my dad was an Air Force officer. He was equivalent to the modern day IT specialist. And except that back in those days, it was hard cable. And he made a decision not to take a duty station where he couldn't take his family. So he would be offered 3 duty stations. He'd come to us and discuss what those duty stations were, and we would decide where we'd want to go. And the one that was totally a no-go was one where he could not take us. So during the Vietnam War, before the Vietnam War and during the Vietnam War, we spent time in Taiwan, the Philippines, and Turkey. In Taiwan and the Philippines in the 60s, we were there for 4 years collectively in both of those places. And, people I tell people how I had to make new friends every 2 years, how I had to say goodbye to old friends, friends I had made, and make new friends in a new place. And they go, oh my gosh, I could never do that. I could never leave my friends. I'd be so afraid. How would I survive? Well, you do. You survive because you know that you have to. You have to survive. You will make new friends. You will meet new people. The beautiful thing is that you become very adept at making friends. And today, it's one of my greatest gifts, is the ability to walk into a room full of people and actually connect with someone. Even if it's only for that one evening, one day, whatever it is, the event. It doesn't mean that I'm going to have a new best friend. It means that I can connect and have a conversation and learn something from someone, and they can learn something from me. We can swap wisdom. And I may learn something that it could help me move to the next level in my life. And I encourage you, if you are not someone who likes to get out and go, developing connections is a skill. It's a skill that you nurture. And I encourage you to do so, because you never know who you're going to meet. You're never going to know what they might tell you that can help you elevate your life in some way or another. That's just the reason why we connect. You know, if we're talking about evolutionary catalysts a couple of episodes ago, and in this one, evolutionary catalysts, meeting people is a great way to propel yourself forward. Every connection I make, I see as an evolutionary catalyst, even if it's only a brief moment. And I encourage you to go into that connection with a sense of gratitude, forgiveness, compassion, empathy, love without condition, and kindness. You must be kind. Go into your connections, new connections, with that state of mind, and I'll tell you, it's going to be a winner every single time. And even if the connection doesn't really work out, pan out, you have to be grateful that you tried, and you just forgive yourself and move on. Not every connection that I make is one that's it's on par. That's is a good one. I make the attempt, and I release my attachment to how my connection is received. My attempt is received. Got to do that. You don't care about what other people think about you. That's ridiculous. They don't even know you, most of them. And those that really, really, really do think they know you, don't know you either. Because it's likely that you haven't been completely and totally honest with them. Something that you should. It's something I encourage each and every one of you to do as soon as you get done listening to this over the next 24-hour period, is to make a list of people that have really impacted you in your life. And if you have the connection, the ability to connect with them in some way, through Facebook or social media, if they're not living near you, or if you have their phone numbers, make sure to give them a call and say thank you. Say thank you. Let them know how grateful you are for how they've impacted your life. And if they want to know how they impacted your life, let them know. Or just call your best friends to let them know that you love them and you care about them and you care about what happens to them. Just want them to know. So many people I come across, they're just distraught when something happens to someone that they know. It's so sudden, and they never got the opportunity to tell them how they really felt. I always tell my friends how I feel about them, always, incessantly so. But I don't overdo it. It's good to do that. It's good for your soul to express how you feel about people you care about. Even someone that you just met, you can thank them very much and say how grateful you are for the information that they gave you, for the ability to connect with them, to play golf with them, or to play tennis with them, or whatever it is that you did with them, the way that you met. So it's awesome. If you dance with someone for the first time, thank him so much for the opportunity, the ability to connect with him and engage with him in that way. Just say thank you. Acknowledgement is something we all really love. Acknowledgement is a human need, I like to say. Acknowledgement. Acknowledge people. If you're the owner of a company, if you have people that are working under you, acknowledge them. Acknowledge their existence. Acknowledge your gratitude for them coming to work and doing a great job. When they do something extraordinary, or just something that they do every single day, but they do really well, acknowledge. Acknowledge them. Acknowledge how wonderful it is to have them do what they do, how good they are at what they do. How good they are at what they do. Sometimes it's not all about money. Why people work with you, work under you, work for your company. It's not all about money sometimes. Other times, sometimes it's just about acknowledgement, to be acknowledged for being someone who cares. Enough said. I will reflect on my birthday, which is May 30th, the day that used to be the holiday for Memorial Day. Now it's a 3-day weekend. So it's the last Monday. Memorial Day now is technically the last Monday in May. However, when I was born, it was the holiday. And for many years after that, it was, before they changed it. So I always used to have a day off on my birthday because it was a national holiday. Now it's just another day. However, to me, it's a great day. Day I usually like to take off to reflect on my life, my 6 decades on this planet, and the people I've met. And as I walk or play golf or whatever it is that I do during that day, I'm mindful of how grateful I am to the people, how grateful I am for the people in my life and the circumstances for which I'm in, and the knowledge I've obtained, the wisdom I've been able to amass from being on this planet. It's a great place. How the opportunities that have come to me have been used to help elevate myself. And life hasn't always been golden. Hey, I'm a human being. I've had 2 divorces, and I've had many relationships that didn't work out. I've had 3 of my really close long-term friends die from one reason or another. And I'm grateful for them. I tell them every day. I tell their spirits, hey, thank you. Thank you for having been in my life and for everything that you did for me. You are the product of the connections you make, the experiences you have, and the opportunities you take advantage of. That's what you are. You are the product of that. And your identity is what you determine it to be. I had this conversation with a good friend just the other day, talking about how people identify with, become identified with one thing or another. As a matter of fact, when you're divorced, you don't realize, when you get a divorce, you don't realize, or you break up in a relationship that's lasted for a long time, you really don't realize how connected you've been to that other person, how your identity has become such a we situation. And you got a little imbalance coming out of the relationship because so much of your identity was tied up in it. Same thing with a job. When you leave a job for one reason or another and you have to seek another one, or you take another job, you don't really realize how much of your identity was tied up into that, tied up in that job. Olympic medalists. There was a young lady, I think Michael Phelps had this issue. He talked about it openly after some therapy. He had an issue because he had won, his life and his identity was determined by, was generated by his being an Olympian and by practicing and being the best he could be. And when he no longer was an Olympian, when he'd won the 18 gold medals and he was no longer going to be an Olympian, be an athlete in that way, he was lost. He was completely and totally lost as an individual. And because that was his identity and he no longer had it. We have to be very careful about how we identify ourselves, what we identify ourselves with, how we develop our self-identity, because it's our sense of self, and making sure that we develop it from a bunch of different sources, so that we can remain balanced throughout life. I'm a drummer, but I don't develop my identity isn't as a drummer, as a musician or a singer. That's just part of who I am. I'm a multifaceted diamond, and so are you. Go out and explore those other facets of who you are, and take great pride and pleasure in doing so, and approach that mission to explore the many facets of yourself with kindness and gratitude and forgiveness if things don't go the way you thought they would go. Forgive yourself and move on. Don't dwell. Use that whatever failed as an opportunity to be better at something else. Check your feelings and emotions, making sure that you are that you're allowing the happiness to flow from within. That's really what I'm trying to say. That you're allowing the happiness, the innate happiness and joy and enthusiasm and energy you have, that positive vibration that you were born with, to flow from within you. I've talked about it in many episodes of happiness. That happiness is already in you. You were born with it. And if you're not happy now because of your circumstances, you're allowing your circumstances to dictate your feelings, and that's not really what should be happening. You should feel the way you feel because you desire to feel that way, not because something outside of you has impacted you and you are telling yourself through your self-talk that you cannot be happy because of what's occurring. Own your power, own your sovereignty. Take control. Make sure you're the one in control of your mind, your body, and your spirit going forward. And when you have your birthday or any day you see as special, make sure that you take some time to express your gratitude. I like to do it every day, and some people do, some people don't. Some people get so caught up in life, and it's possible. It is possible to get so caught up in your circumstances that you're dealing with, that gratitude doesn't even come to mind. However, I will tell you one thing. Regardless of what it is, remembering that you're the sovereign and that you're the one who dictates what's going on in your mind, your body, and with your spirit. You're the one who does that. It can open pathways to solutions to problems, to issues, to circumstances, and help you see those circumstances in a whole different way. And I hope that you remember that. I'm going to sign off now and go prepare for my incredible birthday. Pick out a great bottle of wine to enjoy with my honey tomorrow. Not playing golf, but I will play the drums. Having so much fun. I downloaded the live version of Earth, Wind, and Fire's September. And if you're on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, look for the live version. Put in September and look for the live version. It was recorded during the 1970s in their heyday, and I'm going to tell you, it's awesome. It is absolutely awesome. If you can't tap your foot, get up and dance to this, it'll change your whole mood. It'll change everything. And I don't know how that song, there's certain, that's what music does. Music is music is special. Music and colors, they have vibrations, and the vibrations can shift your mood in a heartbeat. So one other thing you can do if you're having an off day or if you feel out of balance is actually create a playlist for yourself that you can play during those times that harkens back to a great time in your life. Because once you play the song, those memories that come flowing back to you, those great memories. Something that makes you feel energized and hopeful and vibrant. You can do it. That's what I suggest, because it can shift your mood in a heartbeat. Shift the way you feel. Shift your state of being. And check out that live version of September. And love to hear if it impacts you the same way that it impacts me, because I'm going to go listen to it as soon as I get done with this podcast. Please take care. All the best to you, of course. Love you all. Thank you for listening. And make sure that you stay safe, secure, and happy. Bye-bye.